بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وحبيبنا وعظيمنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Lillahi ta'ala, correct your intentions. I ask Allah to make this easy for me and for you. All right, not going to make this a long ado, insha'Allah ta'ala. We're going to start going over some sarf today. We're going to get a taste for, insha'Allah ta'ala, Matnul Izzi, the text of Al-Izzi in sarf. It's a very famous beginner's book in sarf. And our Shaykh prays for mercy for this author a lot. So I'll just start, inshallah, and then you will see what we have. The author says, may Allah have mercy upon him. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على سيد الخلق محمد وآله وأصحابه أجمعين. اعلم, know, O learner, أن التصريف في اللغة, that tasrif, it has all the harakat here for us, that at-tasrif, that's another name for sarf. So you can call this sarf, or you can call what we are dealing with, yani this field, tasrif. أن التصريف في اللغة تغيير. Know that tasrif, or sarf, in the language, the Arabic language, is altering. تغيير. Someone might say changing, but altering. Altering means to alter something else. تغيير, to change something else. Like when Allah says in the Quran, وَتَصْرِيفِ الرِّيَاحِ, the fluctuating of the winds. In the fluctuating of the winds, there are signs for those who have sound minds. The tasrif of the winds. وَفِي الصِّنَاعَةِ, and according to the craft. That means, according to the technical definition, tasrif or sarf is تحويل الأصل الواحد إلى أمثلة مختلفة. It is turning a source into different models. It is turning a source, a word which is a source for something else, into different models. Yani, into different forms. To start somewhere, and from this starting point, you make alterations. Yani, you start somewhere and you make alterations, and then you arrive somewhere else at another form. لِمَعَانٍ مَقْصُودَةٍ, for intended meanings. For intended meanings. This means, in the Arabic language, there are patterns available for you. Many, many, many patterns. You're going to take some source and turn that source into these various patterns for meanings that you want. So when you learn sarf, you're going to learn the patterns of the Arabic words. And you're going to learn about root letters of Arabic words. And you're going to learn about extra letters in Arabic words. the root letters and the extra letters and the patterns. And how these patterns relate to each other. How they relate to each other means how you're going to turn that source from one form to another form. لا تحصل إلا بها, meanings that won't happen without this alteration. Or not alteration. Meanings that won't happen without these models. Without these models, because of ha. Biha has to go back to something feminine. So it's not going back to taghyir. Taghyir is not feminine. It's going back to amthila, models. So in the craft, tasrif is turning some source into various models for intended meanings. For intended meanings that don't occur, that don't happen without these models. Yani, that's what those models are for. That model has this meaning. The meaning of a doer, or the meaning of a receiver, or the meaning of past verb, or meaning of present verb, or meaning of command, or some other meaning. So now, what is this asl here? This source? The scholars differed. What is the asl? Here's the word. Let's write it. Asl. Asl means source, origin. How's the voice? Good voice, good voice?
Yeah. Barakallahu fikum.
Ameen wa fikum. So what is the source? The scholars differed. There are, in the Arabic language, two main madhabs. There's the madhab of Al-Bisriyun, or Al-Bisriyin. I'll say Bisriyun here. The Bisris. And there's another madhab, the madhab of Al-Kufiyun. The Kufis. There's two madhabs. Now, what is the source that the author is talking about? The source that the author is talking about, according to the Bisris, is called al-masdar. It's a type of word called masdar. They usually will translate it in English as gerund. Is that two R's or one R? Might have spelled that wrong.
I've seen it as one in the past.
One R? Thank you.
Yes.
So the gerund. That's usually how they translate it. But I like to translate it as source noun. So Arabic has a kind of word. It's called masdar. That means source noun. And as for the Kufis, they say the origin is al-madi, the past tense verb. According to them, the source is the madi, the past tense verb. So what does this mean? Let's take a look here. Let's start with these letters. Fa, ayn, lam. You would say Fa'ala. Fa'ala. That means he did. Fa'ala, he did. That's normal verb right there. That's past tense verb. Fi'lun madin. And you would say yaf'alu. He does. Yaf'alu. Present or future tense verb. He shall do. And you say fi'lan. A doing. A doing. That's the source noun right there. فهو فاعل. And therefore he is a fa'il. A doer. وذاك مفعول. And that other thing is a done thing. والأمر فعل. And the command is افعل. والنهي لا تفعل. And the prohibition is لا تفعل. All right. So, you see what I just did there? I started with a past tense verb, and then went to يعني فعل ماضي, then went to present future tense verb, فعل مضارع, then went to masdar, source noun, then went to the doer, the doer's pattern, fa'il, the doer. Then I went to maf'ul, the receiver. And then I went to the command, if'al, do. And the prohibition, la taf'al, do not do. Now, actually, this very last one is the same as number 2. It's a fi'l mudari' as far as the form is concerned. That's a fi'l mudari' as far as the form is concerned. But what I just did is that I showed you how they do sarf. Meaning, if you want to run through the forms of a word, this is the order you're going to take. You're going to have to memorize that. Past tense, present tense, source noun, doer, receiver, and then command. And then the prohibition if you want to mention it. You say, fa'ala yaf'alu. I just said the past tense and the present tense. Fa'ala yaf'alu. What if I was telling you about another verb? Like, dhahaba. To go. He went. Dhahaba. So if I wanted to make you know how you say the mudari', I would tell you, dhahaba yadhhabu. Dhahaba yadhhabu. Because that's the way you do the sarf. I only mentioned 2 things for you. What if I wanted to tell you 3? I would say to you, ذهب يذهب ذهابا. ذهب يذهب ذهابا. What's that ذهابا? ذهب يذهب يذهب ذهابا. What's this ذهابا? That's the source noun. You mentioned the source noun 3rd. Going. That's a noun though, that's not a verb. Going. ذهب, he went. يذهب, he goes. ذهابا, a going. فهو ذاهب, therefore he is a goer. A ذاهب. And then I won't go further here. Notice here the patterns. Notice the patterns. One verb was fa'ala. The other verb was dhahaba. same pattern. The mudari, yaf'alu, yadhhabu, same pattern. As what makes the pattern? The number of letters and where the vowels are and where the sukoons are. Fi'lan. Fi'lan. This is source noun. Dhahaban. That's the source noun. Source noun doesn't have to have the same pattern. Past tense verb, though, look how it has the same pattern. Present tense verb, look how it has the same pattern. We're going to learn the patterns. This is all introduction for you now. Don't say, I don't understand. What are all these patterns? I'm going to tell you the patterns. I'm trying to give you an idea, though, first. Look at the fourth one. Fa'il, doer. Dhahib, goer. Same pattern. Okay. So Arabic language is a language of patterns. And these patterns, that's what the author meant when he said amthila. You might think, or it might occur to you, amthila means examples. So if you want to. I'm going to say models, though. Or patterns. So, know that at-tasrifu fi al-lugha, know that sarf in the Arabic language is at-taghyir, altering. And in the craft, sarf is altering a source. Altering a source to various patterns for intended meanings. Yani, here, I told you, the Bisris, they say the source is the masdar. And the Kufis, they say the source is the Malbli. So, the author, Al-Izzi, he used the word asl. Yani, he used a neutral word, so that his word could cover both madhabs. It's like he's saying, whichever madhab you want to follow, the Bisris or the Kufis, you're going to start from some source. According to the Bisris, that source is going to be the source noun itself. That's why it's a source noun. It's a masdar. It's a source noun. So that's the origin, according to them. So they're going to say, since the source noun is the origin, although it's number 3, then from the source noun, we get the past tense verb, and we get the present tense verb, and we get the doer's pattern, and we get the receiver's pattern. The source noun is the source. And the Kufis are saying, no, the past tense verb is the source. That's why we mention it first, not third. You're going to start from the source. And you say that from the past tense verb, you're going to get the present tense verb, and you're going to get the source noun, and you're going to get the doer's pattern, etc. Any questions so far? Okay. Ameen wa fikum. So then the author says, ثُمَّ الْفِعْلِ. Now, the verb. So he wants to start talking about the verb, not the noun. So how many types of words do you have in Arabic? How many types of words do you have in Arabic? 3. Correct. Yes, 3. Thank you. So there's 3 types of words in Arabic, as you know. Ism, fi'l, and harf. The ism is actually in Arabic the most significant kind of word. Because In Arabic, you can speak using nouns and not using verbs. So that makes nouns superior. But the author is going to start telling us about verbs. In the midst of that, we're going to learn about nouns too. So he says, ثم الفعل. Now the verb. إما ثلاثي وإما رباعي. It's either going to be triliteral. Triliteral, that means has three original letters. Three original letters. Yes, it's three kinds of words in Arabic. Ism, noun. Fi'l, verb. And harf, particle. And the author is going to start telling us about verbs, the sarf of verbs. The sarf of verbs. It's because it's easier. The sarf of verbs is easier than the sarf of nouns. So you get the hang of this first, and then you start learning about the sarf of nouns. And harf doesn't have any sarf in it. So he says, as for the verb, إما ثلاثي وإما رباعي, it's either triliteral or quadriliteral. That means, triliteral means three original letters. Quadriliteral means four original letters. Three original letters or four original letters. For example, you say Salima. Salima, he was safe. Salima, he was safe. So that's it. There's three letters there. You say Dahraja. Dahraja, he rolled a ball, for example. He rolled, yani, Dahrajahu, he rolled a ball, for example. Dahraja al-Kurah. So there you have four original letters. Okay. وكل واحد منهما إما مجرد أو مزيد فيه. And each of these two types here is either mujarrad, devoid of extra letters. Mujarrad means bare. Bare, devoid of extra letters. Like Salima, there's no extra letters in here. And Dahraja, there's no extra letters in there. That's called mujarrad. How do you know the extra letters? Don't worry. Just try to follow. There is no way I will talk about this without mentioning the extra letters. So, mujarrad. There's no extra letters here. Salima and Dahraja. Take it for granted. Take my word on it there. أو مزيد فيه. Or also, each one of these two types right here, you see? Which these two types, triliteral and quadriliteral. They also could have extra letters. For example, you could say aslama. Aslama. That's still a past tense verb. Aslama. And its original letters are three, the original ones. Sin, lam, mim, those are the original letters for that verb. And there's an extra letter in there now. Aslama. So, how many letters is that total there? That's four letters right there. Yeah. But this is still called, right here, Thulathi. Thulathi. Let's put the title here. I got this all squeezed in. Let me actually. He says ثم الفعل إما ثلاثي وإما رباعي وكل واحد منهما إما مجرد أو مزيد فيه. Let me write out his metin here. And on my board here. So he says, may Allah have mercy upon him.
Sheikh Wahid, I just wanted to say thank you so much for going into so much detail and explaining it. Barakallahu feekum. It's really, really, really helping.
Ameen wa fikum. Alhamdulillah. So he says here, ثم الفعل إما ثلاثي وإما رباعي إما ثلاثي وإما رباعي وكل واحد منهما إما مجرد أو مزيد فيه. Okay, that's the author's statement there. So he says, ثم الفعل, then the verb. Now for the verb. إما ثلاثي, إما, either it's ثلاثي. Thulathi, important word for you. You have to memorize that word and know what it means. That's a verb that has 3 original letters, not 4. 3 original letters. Thulathi. So the verb is either thulathi, has 3 original letters, wa imma, or it's either ruba'i, yani quadriliteral ruba'i, thulathi, triliteral, quadriliteral, 4 original letters. All right, so then I wrote for you. Here's thulathi, and here's ruba'i. So I gave you an example. He says here, each one is thulathi or ruba'i, wa kullu wahidin minhuma mujarradun aw mazidun fihi. And each one of these two is mujarrad or mazidun fihi. Mujarrad or mazidun fihi. So mujarrad's going to be like what? Thulathi mujarrad. Like saying salima. And ruba'i mujarrad is like saying dahraja. Okay, that's clear, inshallah. I just said what I already said to you. Now, thulathi mazidun fihi is going to be like aslama. Aslama. So there's 4 letters there. How is it thulathi? It's easy. It's thulathi because we're not looking at the extra letter in there. We want to be able to identify the root letters. Root letters called jadhr. Jadhr. Jadhr literally means root. So the jadhr here, sin, lam, mim. 3 original letters. If we don't have anything on top of those original letters, so we took some root letters, we put them together, and we gave them harakat in a particular sequence, such as sin, lam, mim. This is a jadhr. Sin, lam, mim. When I say it's a jadhr, root letters means that's not a word. It's not a word. Sin, lam, mim, that's not a word. That's a jadhr. That's a collection of root letters that these 3, when I put them together and then I give them different harakat or add different letters to them, then I'm going to come up with different words. So when you learn Sarf, you're going to learn how to identify the jadhr, because you're going to learn about the extra letters. When you learn about extra letters, you're going to learn how to sift them out. What are the extra letters in Arabic? I didn't tell you yet. You're going to learn them, and then you're going to know how to sift them out, and then you're going to be able to pinpoint your jadhr. So, thulathi mujarrad, like salima. We have here 3 letters, and there's no extra letter here. We put the harakat in their sequence and came up with this past tense verb. Or thulathi mazidun fihi. Aslama. That means he submitted. Salima, he was safe. Aslama, he submitted, he yielded. So now this is still thulathi because of the original letters, but it's called mazidun fihi. That means with addition, if you want. Triliteral word with addition. Triliteral word with addition. That means with extra letter, with some amount of extra letter in there. Extra letters, one or more. Mazidun fihi means added to. Triliteral word added to. Yani has extra letters in it. What about ruba'i? We saw right here ruba'i mujarrad, like dahraja. What about ruba'i mazidun fihi, like tadahraja, tadahraja, tadahraja. Now this past tense verb has 5 letters. A past tense verb with 5 letters, but its jadr, its root letters are 4. So it's a ruba'i, mazidun fihi, with addition. Now, for your information, as far as ruba'i is concerned, you're not going far past this pattern here. But thulathi has many more patterns, like sallama, sallama, he gave a salam. Salima, he was safe. Aslama, he yielded, he submitted. Sallama, he said salam. That's 4 letters right there. Sallama, not 3 letters only, because there's 2 lambs there. And istaslama, istaslama. I know istaslama to mean to submit or to yield. So look at istaslama. Here, these are your root letters, sin, lam, mim. And these 3 here are extra letters. In sallama, you have your root letters, but the second letter got doubled. That's where the extra letter is. Any question? What does the doubling imply in meaning? It has various meanings. All these patterns, they have various meanings, not just one. For example, you say nazala. Nazala, to come down. He came down. He descended. Nazala. And you say nazala. Nazala. He brought down. Not he came down. He brought down. So in this case, by doubling that middle, we made the verb transitive after it was intransitive. Here, nazala is intransitive. That means just the doer and his act. He descended. There's no receiver here. Just like if you said, he stood. There's no receiver here. It's just the doer with his act. Meaning, it's not like saying, he struck, because there must be a receiver by virtue of the meaning of the verb. So,
Sheikh, is that what transitive means, where there's no receiver?
transitive means takes a direct object, which is the receiver. Intransitive means does not take a direct object. That goes back to the meaning. Yani, you're going to look into each verb one by one. When you say, comma, he stood, then there's no receiver here. In your mind, there's no way for a receiver here. There's just a doer and his doing, a stander and his standing, and that's it. But if you say, he ate, even if I don't say what he ate, there's still in your mind now a receiver for sure. Because, yani, by virtue of the meaning of the verb. So I don't have to say what he ate for you to understand that there's a receiver. So here, nazala, he came down, he descended. There's no receiver here. It's intransitive verb. Nazala. By doubling that, then we made it transitive. He brought down. So that's one meaning for such a pattern. This one, I mean, the one with the doubled middle. Or I'll give you another example. You say, qata'a. Qata'a. He cut. Your mind can perceive that this is transitive. Qata'a. This one means cut. This one means dice. What's the difference? More intense. Intensifies the meaning. So you say qatala. That means he killed. He killed. And you say qatala. This means he massacred. Might be spelling that wrong. Massacred. Because more intense. And still has other meanings too. And all those patterns have various meanings. So yeah, remember, Arabic language is very, very vast. Very vast. Yani, very. طيب. Then he says, وَكُلُّ وَاحِدٍ مِّنْهُمَا إِمَّا سَالِمٌ أَوْ غَيْرُ سَالِمٌ. And each one of those would either be sound, salim, or غير salim, unsound, sound or unsound. And then he defines it for you. وَنَعْنِي بِالسَّالِمِ. And what we mean by sound is ما سلمت حروفه الأصلية التي تقابل بالفاء والعين واللام من حروف العلة والهمزة والتضعيف. So that paragraph really is compacts very, very few words, has a lot of meanings. What we mean by sound is ما سلمت حروفه الأصلية. Here, I'm gonna just put this in brackets first. التي تقابل بالفاء والعين واللام. I'm gonna come back to it. ما سلمت حروفه الأصلية من حروف العلة والهمزة والتضعيف. What we mean by sound is that which its original letters, حروفه الأصلية. So, yani, I think the words are maybe easy for some of you. Don't forget, if you need some vocabulary, you can ask, what do these words mean? So, now, that which its original letters are sound, let's say, are safe from, are clear of being, يعني are clear of من حروف العلة والهمزة والتضعيف. Clear of, so very literally this means sick letters. It's clear of any sick letters. والهمزة, you know the hamza, that's that letter in Arabic, hamza. Sometimes you write hamza on a alif. Sometimes you write it on a waw. Sometimes you write it on a ya. Sometimes you write it on a seat, as they say. Sometimes you just write it on the line by itself. In all these cases, this is hamza. It's not really alif or waw or ya. It's hamza. So, what we mean by sound is that none of its original letters are, quote unquote, for now, sick letters. Nor are any of them a hamza. What tad'if, nor are any of them doubled. Nor are they not doubled, let's say repeated. Nor are any of them repeated. We're going to say doubled for something else. So that's a lot right there. Well, let me give you examples though. So, what are these quote unquote sick letters here? Those are alif, waw, and ya. And then there's a hamza. So that's 4 letters right there. And then there's the issue of original letters repeating. So let me show you here. Alif, waw, ya, hamza, and tad'if. So for example, you say qala, he said. There's three letters there. Qala, there's three letters there, but one of those three letters is an alif. Uh, Yani, you say yaqulu, and you say here. You say, for example, Rama, Rama. So there's alif right here. That's alif shaped like a ya. You know that one. So there's only three letters there, and one of them is an alif. So what's the problem here? What's the issue here? Why is not sound? Because these letters, Yani, let me show you some more. You say yad'u, yad'u. So here's your root letters. Dal, ain, wow. You say هكذا. يرمي. Here's your root letters. Ra, mim, ya. There's a ya right there. What's the issue here? The issue is that these letters, they turn into each other. Alif, wow, and ya, they transform into each other, or they flip into each other. So then they have special rules that you're going to learn about, insha'Allah ta'ala. That's why you say qala, past tense verb. He said, you say yaqulu, yaqulu, present tense verb. He says, and you say qila, it was said. What happened there? Qala, there's alif there. Yaqulu, there's a wow here. Qila, there's a ya here. All of them coming from the same origin. This is one source for all these. What's the source? Either it's the masdar, the source noun, or it's past tense verb, according to the others. So from one source, you're going to get all these different variants, all these different models or patterns. And in this case, though, you see that letter there is not stable. So that's why it's called harf illah. And sometimes it's omitted altogether, sometimes completely removed. You say, qul, say. Now there's only two letters there. How do we go from one to the other? How do I know to say qul? How do I know to say qil? How do I know to say yaqul? That's by learning sarf. Now you're just taking picture and you're getting started. Or a hamza. The hamza, so we've just looked at alif and wow and ya. And the hamza is really a healthy letter. There's two types of letters in Arabic. Huruf illah and huruf sihha. Or we should say huruf sihha and huruf illah. The healthy letters and these sick letters. Yani, if it doesn't irk you for me to translate it that way. But I'm just doing it for now, inshallah. If you have good words, you can help me also. So Hamza is really a healthy letter. What's a healthy letter? All the letters that are not alif, waw, or ya. So ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, kha, dal, dhal, ra, zay, sin, sheen, etc. All of those are healthy letters. What makes them healthy? They're not flipping and turning and transforming into each other. Yani, as you'll see, with sometimes they might turn into something, but you'll see those are like very isolated cases. So Hamza is really a healthy letter like all the other ones, ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, etc. But it acts like it's sick. So what does it do? It flips into those other ones. Hamza sometimes turns into alif or something else and sometimes gets omitted altogether. You say, for example, ra'a, ra'a. Yeah, there's the alif here, so right there, but nevertheless, there's still here a hamza. And what happens? That's past tense. Ra'a, he saw. What's the mudari'? Yara, he sees. Yara, where's that hamza? We're not saying yar'a. The hamza is gone. Yara. So that hamza is like those perhaps weak letters. Yeah, maybe weak letters works. But illa means sick. Illa is marad. That's what it means in the language. And sihha is the opposite. Sihha means health. So in the Arabic, that's what they're calling them. That's why it doesn't really hurt my feelings to say sick letter, healthy letter, because that's what they're saying.
Would it be possible to say stable letters and unstable letters?
Maybe. Yani, at least to use it like alternative words when explaining. MashaAllah. Okay, so what we mean by sound is that none of its original letters is yani. So we have so many words now. Is a weak letter or a hamza or a repeated letter. So repeated letter is like radda. Radda. Because the origin of that is radada. Radada. And then these two dals got merged together. So fatha goes away. And it becomes radda. Now, because of that, also you're going to have some special rules. So all these cases are being pointed out to you now so that you can get ready for their special rules. And then he says, yani he said a part that I put in brackets here. التي تقابل بالفاء والعين واللام. But I want to save that for next week, inshallah ta'ala. So we'll stop here. Do you have any question I can answer for you? And also, should we go back to Al-Ajur Rumiyah or what? Or we stay here for a while?
Can I be really, really, really honest?
Yes.
For me personally, I'm not sure about everybody else, and I hope I'm not speaking for everybody else as well. Personally, this is helping me a lot. And if not everybody else minds and we can continue this, I would really prefer if we could.
Inshallah ta'ala.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I prefer this lesson more. Can I ask?
I agree.
Okay.
Could I ask, please? I joined
Yes.
a little bit late. I just seen it and I joined, but you were going over the patterns. You were doing like fa'ala, yaf'al, dhahaba.
Yes.
Could you please go back so I can see that, please?
Yeah. I'll repeat it for you. So, when you do sarf, when you do the sarf of a word, then there's a pattern the scholars follow. There's a sequence that the scholars follow. That's important for you to know. You should know. You need to, because this is how it goes. So they would mention first the past tense, such as fa'ala. Then the present and future tense, yaf'alu. Then the source noun, or gerund if you want. And they would make it mansub, fi'lan. They would make it mansub. So they would say fa'ala yaf'alu fi'lan. It's like they're saying he did, he does, a doing. Fa'ala, he did, yaf'alu, he does, fi'lan, a doing. He did, he does, a doing. This is their way of, in their minds, producing the past tense, then the present tense, then the source noun, and then fahuwa fa'il, the doer. Fahuwa fa'ilun. So he's a doer. وَذَاكَ مَفْعُولٌ, and that is done. وَالْأَمْرُ فَعَلْ, and I'll just say that much now. And the command is do. So what do you have there? 1, 2, yani. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 patterns here. When you do the sarf, you're going to do those 6. فَعَلَ يَفْعَلُ فِعْلًا فَهُوَ فَاعِلٌ. They would say فَهُوَ. And they would say وَذَاكَ. And they would say وَالْأَمْرُ. So it goes like this. فَعَلَ يَفْعَلُ فِعْلًا فَهُوَ فَاعِلٌ وَذَاكَ مَفْعُولٌ وَالْأَمْرُ فَعَلٌ. وَالْأَمْرُ فَعَلٌ. يعني وَالْأَمْرُ إفعل. So that means past tense verb, present future tense verb, source noun, doer, receiver, and imperative verb. So that's how you do for the sarf of anything. So I'd say, for example, ضرب يضرب ضربا فهو ضارب وذاك مضروب والأمر اضرب. Or for example, سمع, he heard. سمع, he heard. سمع يسمع, he hears. سمعا, a hearing. فهو سامع, so he's a hearer. وذاك مسموع, and that is heard. وَالْأَمْرُ اسْمَعْ, and the command is hear. اسمع. Do you see how that went? فَعَلَ يَفْعَلُ فِعْلًا فَهُوَ فَاعِلٌ وَذَاكَ مَفْعُولٌ وَالْأَمْرُ فَعَلٌ ضرب يضرب ضربا فهو ضارب وذاك مضروب والأمر اضرب. سمع يسمع سمعا فهو سامع وذاك مسموع والأمر اسمع. That's how you do the sarf of a word. Source noun is always third. That's how both madhabs do it. But according to one madhab, the source noun is the actual source of the other ones, all the other ones in the list. According to the Bisris, the third one is the source for everything else in the list. Everything else in the list is extracted from this source noun directly or indirectly. Meaning, from the source noun, you get the past tense verb. From the past tense verb, you get the present tense verb. From the present tense verb, you get the doer, like that. That's according to the Bisris, who said the source noun is the origin for everything else. And the Kufis, they said, no, the past tense verb is the origin for everything else. Don't you see it has fewest letters? And don't you see we mention it first? But stronger saying is Bisris. Bisris have stronger saying here.
MashaAllah, so beautiful.
He said, can you explain if both Hamza and Alif are considered Arabic letters? Because when I took the Abjad, Hawaz, Hutti, Kalimun, distinguish seems a little confusing for me. Is Hamza a letter or is it dependent on the Alif, which I know to be a letter? Yes, the Hamza is a letter. And the Alif is a letter. There's two different letters. But their names are interchangeable sometimes. Meaning, you could call the Hamza a Alif sometimes. I don't know that you could call the Alif a Hamza. But you can call the Hamza an Alif, and it won't be wrong words. But really, it's a Hamza, and that's a different letter. And also, the old Arabs did not used to write a character for the Hamza. So they didn't have anything to represent the Hamza in writing. That's amongst what was innovated. They took it from the head of the Ain. So for these reasons, a person would be confused sometimes. Is it one letter or two letters? And do you have to write it or you don't have to write it? All my professors make us write it. Yani, if you don't write the Hamza for those, the ones who are the Arabic professors, not another subject. The Arabic professors, you don't write the Hamza, they're going to, at the very least, they're going to write your Hamza in for you if they don't dock you for it. And some of them are definitely going to dock you for it, for not writing the Hamza or not writing the Shadda. To them, it's just like not writing the dot. You don't have to write the harakas though, but they want you to write the Hamza or the Shadda, like you write the dot. And one of them insists that you put the dots on the ya at the end, one of my professors. May Allah have mercy on him. I think he passed away. Allahu yarhamuh. But I didn't used to really give that a strong regard because Sheikh Samir doesn't do it. But in his class, I have to do it or he's going to dock me. Ameen wa fikum. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك